Splendid. There you are. Good evening, darlings, and a very warm welcome to Monday Night Live, brought to you and proudly sponsored by No Bugger. Yes, that's right. No Bugger. Looking
Splendid.
after me, and that made me jump because I forgot to turn the bloody sound on, didn't I? Well, what an excellent and professional start. I do believe in beginning as I mean to go on. And I do, of course, mean to go on and on and on as unprofessionally as possible. But where was I before I rudely interrupted myself? I was bidding you a very good evening. Good evening, and welcome to Monday Night Live. It is nothing less than a transparent, orgasmic joy to be here with you all again for the first time since last Thursday night. Thursday was quite a long time ago, wasn't it, darlings? Oh, yes. I hope you've all had the most splendid of weekends, and I hope that you're going to come on and tell me and your chums in the community all about your weekend and what you've been up to. And breakfast cereals, what are they all about? Now, the problem with breakfast cereals is, to the best of my knowledge, they all require milk in order to be eaten. And milk should not be consumed by anybody once they are past the breastfeeding stage. And when I say the breastfeeding stage, I mean what God would consider to be the breastfeeding stage, not what a pervert would consider it to be. Because as I pointed out on Facebook the other night, you are all mammals, and as mammals, God provides you with milk up to a certain point, and then He cuts the milk supply off directly at the udder, and you're supposed to drink wine or water or coffee or possibly Vimto. So pull yourselves together, you people. Now then, we are going to have a wonderful community time together over the next couple of hours. And those of you who were kind enough to join me on Thursday will know that I trialed a phone in feature. Gosh, that was exciting, wasn't it, my lovelies? Oh, yes. And you might be wondering, well, this phone in feature, Boaty, will you be continuing with that idea? And the answer to that is a big, fat, frothy, frabjous, and slightly hairy yes. There's going to be a constant phone in option now. So all you have to do is guess the phone number, call in, and you will be live on the live stream, and you can talk to me or ask me a question, or you can talk directly to the community, and I will go to the toilet or stand in the corner and touch myself relatively inappropriately. The possibilities are endless. Now then, because we've got a big, wonderful 120 minutes together tonight, I'm open to any suggestions of how you guys would like to spend it. Now, I've got some things that I would like to talk about, but hey, this live stream isn't all about me. It is. It's not all about me at all. It is. It's about you people. No, it's not. If it was about you, you'd have got your own live stream. It's about you, the community. And I am just one very small part of the community. So you feel free to push this time together in any direction that you see fit. And much like a conductor on a train, I will be happy to let somebody else be in charge of the general direction of travel. Because you might say that I should be impartial, and I am impartial, but trains are impartial too, but they will go the way that the railway tracks take them, impartial or otherwise. And that is the way that I think of these live streams, darlings. I go the way that the rails of the live stream guide me, or something like that. I don't know, really. But there you are. Talk to me about any old crap, basically. The things that I would like to talk to you about specifically, excuse me, The things that I would like to talk to you about specifically are my plans for the Welsh trips, because quite honestly, I'm a bit nervous about it all. And I could do with your ideas and your advice, but we got plenty of time to get into all of that. Let's say hello to some people. And let's begin by saying a big, fat, welcoming hello to Steakhold. Good evening to you. Barry, that guy from SETI Alpha 5. Good morning from rainy Hawaii, says Barry. We're doing the work part of our working holiday. Oh, gosh. I didn't realise it was a working holiday, but well, good for you. I mean, if you're going to be working somewhere in the rain, then Hawaii probably isn't the worst place. Gosh, says Barry Scrotter, from one live straight to another. Oh, who did live tonight? Good evening to all. Good evening, Boaty and all, says Jimmy Quinn. I like Jimmy Quinn. John Stoodley is with us. Hey, chat and hey, Boaty. Oh, and John very kindly advises everybody to like and subscribe. And he says it really helps, and of course it does. And John is hoping that everyone is good and well tonight. And I hope that too. I fervently wish it with both of my buttocks. One car valeted, says Barry Scrotter. Oh, Barry Scrotter is now back to being Barry Scrotter. He is no longer the artist formerly known as Barry Scrotter. That's right. That could have happened on Saturday, I remember now. So welcome back, Mr. Scrotter. Barrington von Scrotter. Welcome back to you, dear boy. I was out and about today around Hales Owen for a walk and some fresh air, says John, and I'm sure it did you the world of good. Project Nigel is here. Poor old Captain, I'll tell you about today. Poor old Captain Mustard has got a poorly thumb, and in a way, it's my fault. But in another, more meaningful way, it's his fault. But nonetheless, he's got a hurty thumb, and I'm sure that we'll sympathise with him and his thumb. And I'm not sure why I'm doing. God, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd love to play Just a Minute live. How could I do that? I would need 4 telephones, wouldn't I? I would need 4 of you. Could I make this happen somehow? I haven't actually thought about this. This is just a random thought that popped into my head. You know, I'm obsessed by Just a Minute. And I would love to. How could I do? I would need 4 of you on a phone line. So does that mean I would need 4 separate phones? Or is there some way that I could set up a 4-way telephone call type thing, maybe on Messenger or WhatsApp or something like that? Somebody let me know if that would be a possibility. Bad Books is with us. Good evening. Andrew Buttygig, aka Ivor Spotty Butty, says a very good evening, Boaty, and everyone in tonight's chat. Isn't that wonderfully inclusive? I do like a bit of inclusivity, but then I also like a bit of exclusivity. So, well, there you are. I'm just a fully rounded individual. And I'm not just talking about my waistline. Trisha Alderman is with us, the lovely Trisha. Good evening, Jason, and all in chat. Sponsored by Podger and Rusty Arsecrack. Karen says hello, says Barry. Well, hello to you, Karen, and enjoy your rainy working holiday day in Hawaii. Sounds wonderfully exotic, doesn't it, Hawaii? And I suppose it is. I've never been. I did read a book about it, although that was fiction, so how true it is, I don't know. Oh, hang on. Talking about reading books about Hawaii, wasn't there a James Bond book? Which one was it? Was it Dr. No? Or Dr. Doolittle? Or Dr. No Little? I think it was Dr. No Little. But I'm sure, wasn't there a Hawaiian voodoo connection in one of those? Wasn't Dr. No Little some kind of, was that Hawaii? Or am I getting horrendously mixed up? And he was some kind of witch doctor. And he had a ginger cat. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, here we are. Neil is here, Neil Gibbons. Neil will bring a sense of calm and well, what else will Neil bring? Neil will bring something. AKA the Gibbonator, AKA the very, very, very nice man. Hello, 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 says Neil. A triple hello. Well done. How are we on this fine night? It's a bit chilly, isn't it? But it's been rather a pleasant day, I think. If you're looking for a good time, then dial 1-800 Boaty Chat. Oh, you know you want to. I suppose we could do that, couldn't we? Yeah, we could turn this into some sort of... No, let's not turn it into some sort of sex pest helpline. Boaty, says Barry Scrotter, your thoughts on cream? Well, if it's barrier cream, then I'm a big fan on behalf of the elderly and bedbound. If it's some kind of hand or face moisturizing cream, then again, I've reached the age where that is something that I occasionally remember to do. If you're talking about the cream that comes from the milk of a cow and that sort of thing, then my thoughts on it are that it's got no place in a human body. And you should damn well leave the cows alone and, just leave things the way that God intended it to be. God did not intend you to eat cream. So there we are. Milk, yum, says Andrew. Been some time since I had it from the main source. Yes, well, I think that's true of all of us. That's the point, you see. I mean, once you stop getting it from the main or initial source, that's the point where God intends you to stop drinking the stuff. It's there to get you through that tricky early stage of life. And after that, you're supposed to move on to other things. Chris Maguire is with us and says, good evening, chat. Well, this is lovely, isn't it? Barry Scrotter says, rough Sunday, too much to drink on Saturday night, and another cold on top of that. Oh, dear me. Oh, gosh. And then work starts on getting rid of the scratches on the dark blue car. Good luck with that. Lord Stiff Upper Lip is here and says, hello, Boaty. Gardening and other spring-related jobs to do, says Barry, as if he's not got enough to do. We're trying to get the scratches out of the dark blue car. The magnolia trees in full bloom. Makes me happy every year to see it. Salvation, your reverence, says Pingu Concord, who has leapt into our midst. Neil says, people in the WhatsApp group will know what I did. I tinkered with the 620 and got the new fuel pump and sender unit today. I was planning to build the tank up, but I may have fallen asleep after work. Yeah, but you did the electric aerial, and that is a thing of joy and beauty. Boaty, have you seen the City Rover on Facebook Marketplace? Not far from you in Stoke-on-Trent and in silver too. Right. I have seen it, but I hadn't seen it. And the only reason I've seen it now is somebody, and it might have been you, sent me a text message or a messenger message to point it out to me. And I haven't replied to it yet to thank them. But if they're watching this, thank you. I hadn't seen it, and now I have. And yeah, it is not too far away in Stoke, and it is in silver, and it's not too expensive at 700 quid, I think. The only problem with that being that I haven't got 700 quid at the moment. And when it comes to money, I need to be finding money, not spending it, because the Welsh plans that I'm going to talk at endless length on and ask you for your help and advice with, I'm going to need to fund those somehow. So if anything, I'm going to be thinking about selling cars rather than buying them, although I would love that City Rover. It's a nice spec one as well. Now, in terms of today, my darlings, then as you can probably guess, it's been a day at the yard with my dear friend Captain Mustard. And it's not been the best day for him. I mean, it's not been the perfect day for me, but it's been a lot worse for him. The poor chap, he's been getting his hands dirty and hurting himself Uh, oh, Dr. No is in Jamaica, says Barry, and so was Live and Let Die. Oh, well, I was close. Oh, hello, a little song from Ben. Uh, hello, is it Boaty's world you're looking for? Well, I'm sorry, but this is just a copyright slam from the hairy Paddington's neighbourly droning. Oh dear, yeah. Uh, Wales, says Ben. I suggest visiting Sean as early as possible. Some cross-channel action may help with the series taking off. I agree wholeheartedly, Ben. You're leaning against an open door with that one. To let you know, I spoke about it briefly in, when was it? Sunday's Daily Diary. So, oh yeah, so only channel members will have seen that. I think it was Sunday. It wasn't in Saturdays, was it? Oh well, so not all of you will have seen that, will you? So you might not know what I'm talking about. I'll catch up with some comments and then we can chat about that because I genuinely do need your input. I when I got home last night and I'd done my other bits of work, I stayed up far too late because I started writing. Not something I've ever done with YouTube before. Now, I had no great plans for this YouTube channel. I only started it by accident. It's generally just been a bit of reasonably enjoyable buggering about. I went through a brief period where I had some ambitions for it, and that soon passed, and I just went back to the buggering about with you guys. I'm at a point now where I would like to have one go at doing it a little bit more, in inverted commas, properly. And to that end, my plan is to do a series over this spring, summer, and autumn, based around, I mean, I'll go into all of the details with you, but it's based around, as I've said many times before, and have planned to do before, based around me going back to Wales. But I'm going to try and do it properly and just have one go, just a one go at trying to make something a little bit more marketable or whatever the word is on YouTube. See if it brings in any subscribers, see if it brings in any views and therefore any money. And that means effort and sacrifice. It means that I've got to make sacrifices in order to find the money to fund it. Now, we're not talking about a lot of money, and for a lot of you, it's the kind of thing that wouldn't be a problem. We're talking about a hotel room once a fortnight, and we're talking about a bit of fuel money. But to me, that's, you know, that's a chunk of money that I haven't got. It would also mean investing in a little bit of extra technology over and above what I've got now. And it would mean making the effort to try and do it properly, which is what I started doing last night. So I actually started writing, never done it before. So writing an outline, coming up with a name for the series, coming up with a theme, coming up with a format, and I actually started writing some scripts for the actual videos, which was a bit weird to do. It feels a bit odd trying to take YouTube seriously because God knows, you all know I've never done that before. But well, there we are. Boaty, what about ice cream? Yeah, Jimmy, that's not fair. Well, yeah, well, ice cream and butter are where all of my arguments fall down because I like butter and I eat it every morning on my toast, and I like ice cream, although I only have that about once every 2 years. So yeah, that okay. I am a hypocrite because butter and ice cream, yeah. Cheese, no. Flavored milk, no. Bitty milk, no. Boaty, says Jimmy Quinn, you like butter and that's from a cow. Yeah, I know. Why do you have to point that out? I'm a hypocrite. Mark Passad is with us. Evening, Boaty, and evening all. Evening to you. Sophie is with us. Hello. Where does Boaty stand on oat milk? I don't know. I don't know what it is. and Gaz on the track. Oh, a caller, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this is exciting, isn't it? Let's put that on speakerphone. And there's no caller ID, so I've got no idea who this is. Good evening, caller.
We'll keep a welcome in the hillsides. We'll keep a welcome in the vales.
That's a pretty good place to keep a welcome in my book. How are you, sir?
Afternoon, evening, good morning, and welcome. It's Sean from the Ronda.
Hello, Sean. How are you, sir?
I've only just got back home from the gardening club.
Oh, have you? Oh, gosh.
So I thought I would, although we go to the gardening club once a month and we talk about anything other than gardening.
Oh, okay. Does the famous chap from Radio 2 go to it?
No, but he's further down the valley.
I'm trying to... Oh, is it Terry?
Terry Walton from Quinnipiac.
Yeah, there we are. Oh,
so I'm at the top, he's in the middle, and then Tom Jones would be down the bottom.
Oh, God, yeah, Tom Jones. Yeah. Yes, of course, he was from the One Valley Over, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay, quiz question for you. What name did Tom Jones first perform under? And that's a question for you or anybody else who cares to answer it.
Oh, I can't think now. It's on the tip of the tongue.
Well, nobody seems to have answered it.
Because he didn't he then? Oh, the Senators.
Yes, well done.
Because he then dumped them when he became famous.
Yeah, I think it was Tommy Scott and the Winged Senators, to give them their full name.
And you probably know this, but Tom Jones has only got the one lung.
Oh God, no, I didn't know that.
He lost it when he was a teenager, or when he was a kid.
No, I'd never heard that before.
Because he spent a lot of his childhood in bed. I can't think what the disease was that he caught, but it was one of those Victorian type diseases, you know.
To be fair, Sean, if the rumours are true, he spent most of his adult life in bed as well, didn't he?
Well, that's not unusual.
Yeah, I was. I think Jimmy Tarbuck used to do the joke about that, didn't he?
And so he had. Oh, how would you say it? Tuberculosis.
Oh,
that word?
TB, tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that back in the day, that often used to cost a lung, didn't it? My mother lost her lung to TB, actually.
Well, I'm hoping the weather will improve by the time you get down here, because it's a bit wet at the moment.
Oh, it's not been too bad here. It's actually been quite a pleasant day. But yeah, I hope the weather will improve too. I'll be down on, I don't know if you heard, but I'll be down on the 8th.
Right.
I was going to come down on the first Monday of April, but I didn't realise that's actually Easter Monday. So there's going to be traffic and all sorts.
Well, I noticed today the trees are only just starting to come into bud.
Okay.
So spring is actually finally starting to come.
Oh, hallelujah. Not before time either. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that that the weather might be good enough to pop down in a convertible with the roof down and and do it in sort of Saint-Tropez style. Although if everything's as I remember it, then I'd be better off coming down in the bloody Land Rover and expect floods.
Well, you know what will happen. If you'll come down in the Land Rover, there'll be a heat wave.
Yes.
Because apparently I heard tonight in the gardening club that the word on the vine is there's a heat wave coming in April.
Oh, really?
So I don't know where this rumour has come from, but that's what the talk it was in the gardening club this evening.
Okay, well, let's hope it's true. Tell you what I'd like to ask you, Sean. Obviously, you know the immediate area around where you are now, and which is also where you were born and brought up. You know it intimately. How well do you know the region going beyond that? So, how well do you know the Beacons, for example?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
When you were
My knowledge stops at the Ripos Mountain and to the reservoir.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you didn't like have trips into the Beacons in a car when you were a kid with your parents?
We went somewhere, and I can't remember what the place is called, and I'd like to try and find it again, which is the reservoir on the way to the Beacons.
Yeah, I know. So
And if you were to say the name, I'd probably go, yes, that's it. But I can't think what it's called.
I can't remember, but if it's the one that I'm thinking of, then it's the
starts with a
yeah, no, well, most things do. It's the one just outside Merthyr. If you're heading towards Brecon from Merthyr, then it's on the left-hand side before you hit the 8 Mile Hill.
Well, for us, the direction that I would come from, I think we used to drive over it, and then it would be on our left-hand side, and then there would be a pub quite close to it.
Right, I think, yeah, I think, yeah, I probably know the one. If it's where I'm thinking of, then as I say, heading on the Brecon Road from Merthyr, you've got a series of 2, 3, or 4 reservoirs which kind of feed each other, and they're all at different heights, like a series of lock gates on a canal.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. As an adult, when I was when we used to spend the weekends at the cottage with the wife and the kids, we would go and get oh God, I mean, not something I would eat now, but the kids loved it. We'd get a KFC from Merthyr and take it to the reservoir to eat it.
Well, there was the local walking group had a walkout tonight at 6 o'clock, and they were going to walk over the Bulk and see the sun setting. But I decided at 6 o'clock it was probably going to start raining, so I wasn't going to bother. And I'm pleased that I thought that, because the rain started about an hour after the walking group went out. But I noticed tonight at 7:30 it wasn't that dark.
Oh, okay.
I think the clocks, is it this weekend the clocks change?
It's the end of the month. It's actually It's Easter weekend, so that will be a week on Saturday, I think.
But I have a vision of us on top of the Ricos Mountain having an ice cream. But they tell me now there is also a fish and chip van there.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Oh, well, there's a new thing there. That is a new thing. There never used to be. Now, there used to be a fish and chip van in Gleneath back in the day. Right. Because the chap who owned the chip shop in Gleneath, he also had a fish and chip van which went to the surrounding villages. And he was something of a playboy because he had a Lotus Esprit. And a Lotus Esprit parked in Gleneath in the late 1970s or early 1980s was a remarkable thing. It basically made him James Bond.
Well, I was talking to somebody on the weekend, and I was telling them that Cliff Richards used to come to Treherbert on a regular basis.
Oh, did he?
Well, he was having an affair with a married man in the village, and people would often see his car going up and down.
Hang on a minute, Sean. You know this is going out onto the internet, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, everybody knows the story. Everybody knows the story. Yeah, so I don't think it's a secret, and there are pictures on the internet as well.
Oh, are there really? Oh, okay. That I'd never heard. Well, I'd never heard that one before. I must admit. There's a bit of celeb gossip for you. I did own Cliff Richard's car. Whether it was one that he ever visited Treherbert in, I don't know.
This was a sports car.
The car that I owned of his was a Primrose Yellow Series 1 Jensen Interceptor.
Right.
Which, if you're not familiar with it, it had a great big goldfish bowl of a rear window, two-door coupe with a massive American V8 engine.
I'll have to try and find the picture, and then you can see it when you come down.
That must have been a bit of a scandal in the village, I would have thought.
Yes, well, I can't say too much because other people are still alive.
Ah, right, okay.
But yes, the only thing I know about Gleneath is, and I don't know where it is, but we used to go to a waterfall there.
Oh,
and I think there were two waterfalls. There was the one that you would only take about half an hour to get to.
Yeah.
And then there was another one which took like an hour. And
yeah.
One of them you could walk behind the back of it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
But I can't remember what they're called now in order to go back there.
Well, they're both up what we call the Bont Road. So that heading out of, excuse me.
So is that Pont Nithforn?
Pontyfawn or Pontnesfechan, however you want to say it. But
right.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you go out of Gleneath into the Beacons, then you hit Pontyfawn, and it's the Angel. That's where you hit the Angel.
Right.
And then as you go up from there, then there are a series of waterfalls. And you're heading up then towards Astrovecta and Hale Seni. But the waterfalls are absolutely beautiful. And there used to be an underground section of river there. I don't know whether it's still there. And as children, madly, we used to swim through the underground bit, holding your breath. And from memory, it was about 1.5 miles long, which means it was probably about 3 feet. But
well, what I'm thinking is when you come down, we'll do a bit of filming on top of the Ricos, but we'll also have a chat about YouTube, because I think there's 1 or 2 things you could do a bit differently to help you.
Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate any advice.
So, rightio. Well, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, and I'll watch the rest of the show.
Right you are, Sean. Thank you for coming on, mate. Have a good night.
Nostar.
Nostar. Catch you later. Ah, well, there we go. Our first caller of the evening, my lovelies. And I haven't even put the number out, have I? Now, some of you will obviously have the number from the last time, but I should probably put it out there for you. And I will put it in the comments as well when I find it. Hang on. It is 07391 175 856. There you go. That is in the comments. So, sorry, I'm just reading a few comments about Riff Pilchard. Yeah, that was well, I certainly wasn't expecting that. Gosh, you'd have thought that it's a weird thing, the Welsh ballads. It's a very weird thing. Now I think about it. And I've mentioned this before. Sean, I don't know if you'd agree with this, that 2 villages, which as the crow flies might only be a couple of miles from each other, because they're in different valleys, they might almost be in a different world. And it was interesting that, you don't know much about Gleneath, or by extension the Neath Valley. And equally, as I was a child, I only very, very seldom remember heading over to the Rhondda Valley. You'd head down the valley to Neath or to Swansea, or even on special occasions to Cardiff. But heading over to the next valley just wasn't something that you did. So maybe it's not actually surprising that a bit of juicy gossip from a village in one valley wouldn't necessarily make it to the next valley. Let's catch up with some of your comments, shall we? Now then, where did I get to? Oat milk in your porridge, double oater. Oh, I think TB was caught from unpasteurized milk. Oh, there we are. Joe, what is the best thing in? Oh, oat milk is the best thing. Oh, well, there we are. It's been lovely in Great Yarmouth today, says Jimmy Quinn. Oh, Neil has also heard that a heat wave is coming in April. Whoa. Well, that might be something to look forward to, wouldn't it? Just in case, take a tin of dubbin for Minge's hood. I fancy doing the first Welsh trip in a convertible, or or should that maybe wait for better weather? I plan to go down. For those who haven't watched the Daily Diary, then I'm planning to make a series of it. The idea being that I revisit all of the places of my childhood, not just in the immediate area, but we used to travel about with my parents and with my grandparents. So there are many things from childhood that are a bit fewer and that are a bit further afield, certainly spread all over the beacons, but heading out to so it's I'll probably end up taking all of the cars down there. That the films are not going to be about the cars, but there's going to be a tiny element of sort of Harry's Garage road trip is my idea. So there's going to be elements of a few things. They're going to be part travelogue. There'll be part Harry's Garage doing a road trip in a different car. And the story is basically, well, it's going to be me. It's going to be, a guy in his 50s wanting to reconnect with home after a life full of adventure and travel, but at a stage where he's nearer the end of life than the beginning, and feeling that need to reconnect with his home and his history and his family history, and so on and so on and so on. I've come up with a name for it. It's not at all original, and there's probably many other things being called the same name, but it's the one that makes the most sense to me, and I'm simply going to call it Hiraeth, which is what has driven the whole idea, and it's going to be obviously it's going to be on my channel, but it's going to be done as a separate series in its own right, if that makes sense. In the same way that you watch Coronation Street on ITV, but you're watching Coronation Street, aren't you? You don't think that you're watching ITV. It's Coronation Street is the feature, and that's the way it's going to work with this. Each episode will be numbered. So, the title for something will be like Hiraeth, episode 1, blah, 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 blah. So that if anybody watches episode 4 or episode 5 and thinks I'm enjoying this, they'll know that there's 1 to 4 to go back and watch. As I say, I'm very nervous about it. I've never tried to do anything. I've seldom tried to do anything sensible on YouTube. The only thing I've really tried to do that was particularly sensible and planned was the road test on the £71,000 electric Jaguar, and that went quite well. I got it did for me it did amazing numbers. It's my most profitable video, and I've had good feedback on it. So, but it still makes me feel nervous to think that I'm going to try and do something a little bit well, because that adds to pressure, doesn't it? When you're just dicking about, then it doesn't matter. And if somebody says, mate, this is rubbish, you say, yeah, it's absolute rubbish. Whereas if you've clearly put some effort into something and everybody says, mate, this is pants, then that's going to smart a little bit, isn't it? So, but there we are. There we are. Now then, where did I get to? Oh, a hidden message from Pingu. Well, yes, absolutely, Pingu. I agree with you. I love the heat and pass of shade as long as I'm not working in it. Cliff is gay. Who knew? Yeah, well, it wasn't the best kept secret, was it? That puts a different spin on summer holiday. I can't read that one, Neil. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well said, Andrew. If you're calling from outside of the UK, then get rid of the first zero and add +44. What happens in the valley stays in the valley, says Sean. Quite right. We should play Guess Who's Phoning, says Jimmy Quinn. And yeah, we should. Barry Scratter says, Sean, I have a strong connection to Ammanford. If you are ringing from overseas and you're worried about call costs, then do it via Messenger or WhatsApp or something like that so that it doesn't cost you the moon. I'm looking forward to Pride of Longbridge, says Joe. Hello, Sean, says Black Lines. I love your videos. You and many other people, me included. Do it in the TF, says Neil. Roof off, even if it's cold. Sod it. Enjoy yourself. Yeah, well, there is an element to that. I mean, doing it in the TF would add a sense of occasion, wouldn't it? Think it, me and Sean whizzing around the beacons in an MGTF, we're just going to look like a midlife crisis on tour, aren't we? Which could be amusing. Ballard Barkley, good evening, Boaty. How the devil are you, sir? Just back from a trip to America and caught up with most of your videos on the flight back. Great to see you on home soil. Keep up the good work. Well, that's very kind. Named after, of course, one of my favourite actors, Ballard Barkley, who perhaps most memorably played the dear old Major in Fawlty Towers. But thank you, Mr. Barkley, sir. That's very kind of you. Ben says, Boaty, if Sean is kind enough to share some YouTube wisdom, I think it's only fair you advise him on where he should position his sofa. Open brackets, sorry, Sean, close brackets. Ah, yes, the sofa debate. My God. My God. Did you plow through all of the comments on that? Oh. I mean, I have some small insight because this table looks very different than when I first did a live stream, because you lot bullied and nagged me into making various changes, didn't you? But you know, I don't let you see much of the cottage, do I? You've seen around the kitchen. I don't think I've ever. Excuse me. Have I ever taken you into the front parlour? Have I ever taken you upstairs? Oh, I've taken you into the guest room and into the office, haven't I? Oh, and I did take you into the bathroom on a couple of occasions, I seem to recall. But I've not shown you a great deal of the cottage, so you haven't been able to criticise it, which undoubtedly you would. You're like the gay mafia. You come round and criticise the bloody curtains. So yeah, I've got that little bit of insight into my table looking very different than it did before you lot got your teeth into me. And oh, well, you made me get rid of the mat. You made me get rid of the ludicrously large salt and pepper grinders and replace them with something more seemly. What else did you make me get rid of? You made me get rid of the wine. You made me get rid of the water. You complained about the bloody candles. You've told me when everything is on the wonk. So imagine how poor old Sean feels when he's got 11,500 people, mostly women, let's be honest, telling him exactly how he should position his home. I mean, the temptation would be to do it, to deliberately do it the wrong way to make sure the bugger's tuned in again the next day. Let me see. If it was me, Boaty, I would take the TF every time, mate, says John. I thought Stigbert was your favourite, John. Would you not take Stigbert? Right, there is another reason for thinking about taking the TF, and it is a serious one. Now, it's interesting that Sean doesn't know much of the beacons. I know them very, very well. I know the spots that he was talking about. The waterfalls are a massive tourist attraction. There's a fantastic walk up from the Angel Pub in Pontyfawn, up the river, and there are waterfalls. And indeed, one of the waterfalls you can actually stand behind it, or you can stand underneath it. There are rivers and pools in which you can swim. There are rope swings. Wonderful. And then the higher up into the beacons you go, there are more hidden spots. Where I used to spend a lot of time as a child. We were always heading out there for picnics and for swimming and with friends for games and whatnot. And I would love to explore a lot of those. But one of the reasons for taking the TF would be that it is small and it is nimble. All of those lanes that crisscross the beacons, they are very, very narrow, and you tend to encounter farm vehicles, which are the vehicles that mostly use the roads. You don't want to be in a big vehicle on those sort of lanes. And climbing the roof, for example, then you're talking about incredibly narrow road, tight hairpin bends, 1 in 3, 1 in 2.5 gradients. The smaller and more nimble the car that you have, the better, quite frankly. But so that would be another reason for taking the TF. But also, I mean, if you're going to be in magnificent scenery, then do it with the roof down when you've got the best all around visibility and the sense of the wind in your wig. Is that the number for the speaking clack? Oh, black lines. Mr. Stephen Parry from Port Sunlight on the Wirral, the Leisure Peninsula, says, road trip. Stay in viewers' houses. That would be fun and save you money. I think it might be fun, Mr. Boaty. Monday live. God, you'd have to be brave to invite me to your house, a drunken priest. I'm looking forward to Pride of Language as well, says Neil. Will be a laugh to have everyone there. Hello again, says Mustard, who quite clearly buggered off. We've been everywhere, says Ben, but usually in select framing, never a pan shot. Oh, talking about being everywhere in the cottage. Never a pan shot, probably wisely, especially in the bath. Oh, good point, John. Yeah, thinking about the fuel costs. The Peak District Viking is with us and says good evening all, and a very good evening to you. It is now, it's 22:49, which means that it is 11 minutes until 1 o'clock. Don't forget, darlings, you can ring in if you would like to be live on the live. And you can do that for any reason, whether you want to have a chat with me, whether you want me to bugger off and you can talk to the community and say something much more interesting. You can ask the community a question, anything you like. The number is 07391 175 856. Or if you just want to ring up and get people to guess who you are from your voice. These are all possibilities for the next hour. And let's face it, once the wine is open, anything goes. I'm also very open to your advice or suggestions for my planning for the Welsh adventures. I'm not going to plan the first one too tightly because I'm rather looking forward to meeting Sean, and I would quite like that to just be organic. So for the first one, all I'm going to plan is I'm going to plan my route. Actually, I was going to say I was going to plan my route quite carefully, but I don't think I will. I think I will go the direct route, which is M5, M50, um, Monmouth, Abergavenny, head to the valleys. I was planning just as a solo thing to when I sort of got when I got to the high point of the heads of the valleys, and then before dropping into Merthyr, I was going to chuck a right, head out to Libanus, and then at Libanus head into the beacons, and then climb over the beacons to take you up the family mountain to show you that it's a hell of a climb. I mean, honestly, you might have watched Harry's Garage and seen him climbing alpine passes and whatnot. It's got nothing on this, but I might hold that back because it might be fun to do that with Sean instead. So actually, the first one might not be very much planned at all. I might just book the hotel, get there, and see what happens. So, oh, well, there we are. That's taken the pressure off, hasn't it? I don't have to do any planning for episode 1. Boaty's girlfriend from Liverpool is here and says, hi, lover. Hello, my darling. Black Lines has continued his channel membership, which is very kind of him. And he has now been a channel member for no fewer than 6 consecutive months. So that's very kind of you, Black Lines, and I really appreciate your support. And everyone, shall I do a little joke? Here's a little joke for you, darlings. And you'll see now why I was never a comedian. That's why I was a singist, not a comedian. I will take your support, and you can trust that I will wear it regularly. You see, a little play on words there. I hope you enjoyed that. I really want to play Just a Minute with you all. I'm obsessed with Just a Minute. Somebody tell me how I can get 4 of you online all at the same time. And are there 4 of you who would be willing to play Just a Minute? I mean, Just a Minute's the best thing on radio. Is it just me? Why don't you go and sit? Oh, God, Jimmy Quinn. Dear. The Peak District Viking says the Elan Valley is a good drive in mid Wales. And yeah, it absolutely is. I know that very, very well. So basically, that's heading on the Rioter Road, heading out of Bilswells. Yeah, very, very beautiful. Spent a lot of time there when I was a child, and actually spent time as an adult there. And amazingly, I've raced around there, very surprisingly. This might surprise some of you, but I've got no idea if it still happens. But back in the day, there was an early season racing festival, and there were events on every day over a long weekend, and everybody, all the competitors, God Almighty, I mean, it wouldn't happen now, but I mean, and we're talking about serious athletes. We all went and camped on the national showground in Bilswells. I remember it to this day. I remember being in a soggy tent with two of my teammates, and I remember having to not be in the soggy tent because bloody Gavin managed to pull at a local pub. He wasn't taking the race the next day seriously, and we had to evacuate the tent so he could administer a bloody pottering. Oh dear, oh dear. God, those were the days. But yeah, I think I can't remember the exact details, but we used to do a hard ride out of the Elan Valley, and of course it's Slan. Oh, what's the name of that incredible? Oh, Slinbriani. Slinbriani's up there, isn't it? Isn't it Viking? Uh, Boaty, says Black Lines. If you can make the visits interesting, like the video style you did with the early picking up a Rover 25 video, I think it will be a hit. Oh, I don't remember the video style you did with the early picking up a Rover 25 video. Was oh, was that the one where I picked up? Well, it must have been when I picked up Brian. Must have been when I picked up Brian. Right, yeah. It can't have been Sheeson, can it? Because I wasn't really YouTubing when I picked up Sheeson. That must have been Brian. Right, I remember that vaguely now. Didn't I call it a train and 3 trams? Or 2 trains and 2 trams? Or 2 trains and 3 trams or something? Because, yeah, I went right into Manchester, didn't I? And then I went on the tram network, heading out to the yard. I remember that day, actually. It kind of put a bit of a downer on the video, because that was the day where Mustard had been broken into and burgled the night before. So when I got there, all hyped up and excited to be picking up the car, he's figuring out what had been stolen out of the lockup and what damage there was and how he could secure the place. Oh, and it was a day. Was it? Oh God, what was it? Was it a royal wedding or the Queen's funeral? One of those things. Can't remember. I used to spend a lot of my formative years in Devil's Bridge. Right. I love Mid Wales. That's the thing, you see. I could spend the rest of my life exploring Wales. And that's all going to factor into the series somehow. Those of you who know me, you know that, I should put the wine in the freezer. Excuse me, I need to fill the wine. Those of you who know me well, know that I've been quite fortunate and I've led a bit of a charmed life. And I've been lucky enough to travel and live, around the world on various continents and in various different places. And the older I've got, the less inclined I've been to go globetrotting. I kind of slowed down. I lived in America twice, and then that kind of fizzled out. I was in Vegas a few years ago. That was the last time I've been to the States. And to be perfectly honest, I can genuinely imagine never going to the States again. I mean, not just because I'm poor and can't afford it. I can just imagine not having the desire to go. And in latter years, all of the traveling that I did, again, as those of you who know me well, know that for the last however many years, the last 10 years, that with the exception of some jollies to Ireland and a couple of jollies to Vegas, and the San Sebastian thing, then the majority of my travel was to the same place, to the Maltese Islands that I was heading out to almost on a monthly basis over winter. And the pandemic put paid to that. And to be honest, I genuinely feel now that I could spend the rest of my days just re-exploring Wales. I can't say exploring because I've been all over Wales. as a boy and as an adult. But like a lot of people, when foreign adventures became available, and certainly when you're spending time living overseas, of course, you tend to ignore the area where you started out. And then you go full circle and you want to go back. So it's not just the area that is my home in the valleys of South Wales. I've got memories all over Wales, including mid Wales, childhood memories, adult memories. I spent my honeymoon, the second night of my honeymoon was spent in mid Wales. Started out in South Wales, then one of my favourite hotels in the world, Lake Vyrnwy, was the second night, and then we ended up in Llandudno in the north for the rest of it. And there's just so much to explore, genuinely. And it's not just exploring the scenery. There are things that I would love to get on film, that I would love to share with, because not all of you will know them, but there are wonderful things in Wales. You know, touristy things to visit, but actual things rather than just scenery. For example, right, the tramway up the Great Orme in Llandudno, that is amazing. And if you've never experienced that, then it's enthralling. It's absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, a lot of you probably know it very well. But maybe I could pick up some viewers from other countries or whatnot. I just like to do it. Right. Cheers, darlings. Your very good health. That's quite nice. New wine tonight, darlings. Let me share it with you. Well, share it as in let you have a look. You can't actually drink any of it. Well, you could if you were around here. Right. It was low tide at Wine Bay tonight, darlings. I had to stop off at Morrison's in Chapel. And this was on offer, 3 for 18 quid. So £6 a bottle. Morrison's the best. It's Italian Suave Classico. It's 2022. So it's a little bit young, but you know, what are you going to get for £6 a bottle? Seriously. It is exceptionally dry. And that really is rather nice. It may not have been the 25. You did a vlog down on the train, etc. Black lines, right there. Okay. Right, I did a couple of those. I mean, I think that they were my best videos, to be honest. Certainly for a long time, for a long time, my best performing video was collecting Miss Henrietta pie. That did very well. That was the first video that I ever got decent views on. Decent by my standards, not by a proper YouTuber standards. But that was the first one that was the first of my videos that went into the thousands. For a long time, it was the only one of my videos that went into the thousands. You know, I've got a few that are doing a little better now. Still not brilliant. I think my most viewed video has only got 29,000 views, something like that. So, you know, not massive by any means, but yeah. That was quite a yeah. So what did I do? The London one. That was collecting the 75 Tourer. The collection video on Stigbert was rubbish. That was no good at all. Not entirely my fault. There were a lot of trouble with the trains. There was nowhere to sit. I had to sit on the floor. It was incredibly crowded. There was no real chance to film. That buggered that up. It must have been the 75 Tourer. But I did quite a nice video on collecting the 25 as well, collecting Brian. And collecting Minge Bag. That was quite a fun video. I quite enjoyed that one as well. I enjoyed that collection. Not Minge Bag, Wet Leg. It was Wet Leg, wasn't it? And that was where I had the idea of getting you lot to ring in and having you on Bluetooth as a double thing, content for the video, but also to keep me awake on a long drive home. I really enjoyed that one. Hiraeth episode 1, unplanned with Boaty and Sean, says Ben. I'm going to screenshot that. Thanks, Ben. I like that. I like the idea of putting unplanned into the title. And having Sean in the title would be a big help, but I'd need to know that he was okay with that. But I like that. I like that. And I like the idea of it being unplanned. Partly because it means I don't have to plan it. But it would be nice to have kind of a free-flowing aspect to it. And I think that probably the future episodes might form themselves from the first one, because you probably get a sense of where you wanted to go with it, and the things that you'd like to do but didn't have time to do. So from episode 1, you could probably then plan episode 2, which would take place in a fortnight. I like the idea of, if Sean is up for it, then I love the idea of kind of exploring outside. Well, it would be kind of Sean showing me the Rhondda, but then sort of exploring outside of the Rhondda with Sean, where he didn't explore as a child. As he said, the Ricos Mountain was about as far as it went. And there's lots of fascinating stuff. I mean, the stretch from Glynneath up into the Beacons is amazing. Stretch down Pontyfawn, or the Bont as we called it, and then up into Astervector. It's beautiful, so beautiful. There are amazing walks. Something that I would love to do some videos on and properly research are the old railway line, because there used to be a railway line right up the Neath Valley that went not through Glynneath. I think the station there was a halt in Glynneath, and it was just, I think it was just before the big viaduct, which was built by Isambard King de Brunel, by the way. I'll show you all of this. The station was further back in, God, I can't remember the name of it now. I wish my father was still alive, because he would be able to explain all of this. I could get him on, and because he lived through the train age, the steam age. But the line is still discernible to a great degree, and you can actually walk the line over the viaduct part. And yeah, and show you my cottage. And I've told you before, my back neighbour was Ruth Maddock. The lovely Max Boyce was just up the road. One of the rare people who is funnier off camera than he is on camera. But yeah, seriously, I would genuinely welcome any advice, any thoughts, any input that you care to give, and I will I will I'll screenshot it and I'll put them all in an album. And oh, fair enough, John, not a problem. I'll put them all in an album and I'll add them to. I'm making a lot of notes about where I want to go with this. I think it was when the channel was still called the 500 quid cheap car challenger or something. Yeah. For those who don't know, when I started this channel, it was called £500 cheap car challenge, because that's what I thought it was going to be about. Back in those days, I bought cars for £500 or normally considerably less, and tried to keep them going really on a scant budget, and that was kind of what I thought it was going to be about, and it turned out to be about all sorts of other things, and also in the pandemic it became, car prices went a bit mad, and it became impossible to buy a car for 500 quid, but then it became possible again, But yeah, in the early days of the channel, then all of the cars were £500 or less. So which cars fell into that? Sir Arthur, Sir Arnold, Sir Arnold, the 75 Connoisseur SE CDTI Saloon. I think he was 260 quid. The Honourable HJ Rover, I think he was about the same. Gosh, yeah. And then the first car I bought that broke the £500 barrier was Stigbert. Stigbert cost a little bit more than £500, amazingly. And yeah, and I found that if I wanted to make any films at all, then I wanted to do them about different things than £500 cars. And I found that the community aspect appealed more to me than actually making the films. So not too far in, I think, how far in was I? 6-7 months, something like that. And I did a complete change. And that was when the channel became Boaty's World. Not because I'm some incredible egotist who wanted it all to be about him, although I am, and I do. The idea behind that was that I could get away with putting anything in there. If the channel is just called Boaty's World, then I can do anything, can't I? And just say, yeah, well, it's part of my world. So, okay, so it's food. Well, I eat. Okay, it's cars. I have cars. Okay, it's a restaurant. I work in a restaurant. Okay, it's music. Well, I listen to music. So, yeah, that was the idea behind that. But yeah, thank you for remembering that the channel used to be called the £500 Cheap Car Challenge. Gosh, seems like ages ago now, doesn't it? It was actually when the car was called the £500 Cheap Car Challenge that YouTube introduced the @username thing, and you could choose your username rather than having a random one assigned to you. And that was when I chose Mr. Boaty. which of course it still is, and that was another reason for shoving Boaty in the new channel title thing. I remember not wanting to do it. I was advised by viewers saying that you ought to rebrand it, did this, that, the other, and I didn't want to do it. I think you get a bit older and you become averse to change. And then I just did it one night after a bottle of wine. I just wiped everything. I mean, I owned a domain and everything in £500 cheap car challenge. And I just put a bolt of lightning through it. Got rid of the whole thing. Pistol Rioter is a lovely waterfall, if that's how you spell it. I'm not familiar with that one, Barry. Ben says Brian was a taxi, a train, and 2 trams, September 2022. Gosh, that's right. That's right. A taxi, a train, and 2 trams. Yeah. Oh, and that was an okay journey. It was going to pick up Sheeson when I had the nightmare because the train was cancelled, the fast train to Liverpool, and I had to take the slow train, which took 3 times as long. Same line, Hope Valley line, but the fast train just whizzes through it. The slow one stops at every single little station in the Hope Valley. And the trams were brilliant. I remember that. Smelly Hole is complaining that if they can't have a go on me, they're going to find another famous YouTuber to have a go on. And Blackline suggests Hubnut. And Smelly Hole says, I'm starting to fancy Hubnut anyway these days. Well, yeah, I mean, you'd have to fight off Miss Hubnut. And she's a feisty little one, that one. The Peak District Viking says, Night all, just had a short drop in tonight as an up early tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the live. Thank you for popping in, sir. Hubnut is taken, says Barry Scrotter. Have a great night, Viking, says Andrew. Where are we? Oh, another title from Ben. 2 boyos on the line with Hiraeth. I prefer the first one. I prefer the first one. I liked that first one. I like the idea of putting unplanned in that first episode. That works really, really well. And I'm going to rewrite a load of stuff tonight, working around that. Yeah. Hiraeth, episode 1, unplanned. That works. That works. Need the right thumbnail for it. And I mean, the thing that I definitely do need to write is, in order for the series to make sense and in order for it to be a hook for people to watch and to keep watching, then I need a kind of introduction. And when it comes to introductions, you know me, I ramble, and I need something short-ish, pithy, and entrancing. So again, I will ask for your guys' help with that. Ben, you're on fire at the moment. So I would need to have some sort of an introduction to explain what the series is going to be about, and then to introduce series 1. So I'd need to get over in a very short time what I'm planning to do, why I'm planning to do it, how I'm going to plan to do it, mention the cars somehow, mention the fact that, I don't know, maybe mention that I've spent 18 months building up a hugely unsuccessful YouTube channel, but with a fabulous community that makes me want to share the stuff that's important to me with you guys. I don't know. That's all gonna take a bit of working on, isn't it? and I'll need appropriate music, appropriate images. Now, annoyingly, and this is already annoying me, and it's going to make me really upset. I've spoken about it before. I don't have any of the family photos, and I don't have any of my childhood photos. I thought I did, and I think I've figured out where they went. I think they were in the garage. I think that they were in a filing cabinet in a garage, one of the garages that I had when I was married. It was, now the garages at the house I converted into, well, what I call Boaty's hub. So I had the builders in, I had the garages converted into a den. So, you know, had the garage doors taken out, had it walled up, windows put in, door put in. There was a loft space in there, so I had all of that done out. Had a little kitchen put in there. So I rented from the local council 2 or 3 other garages for cars or whatnot. And one of those garages ended up having a load of stuff put in, both mine and Maggie's. And after the divorce, that one stayed. And eventually I wanted to get rid of it. As far as I knew, there was nothing of mine in there that I wanted. So I gave Maggie the key, told her she could take whatever was hers and that she wanted. A load of the kids' musical instruments were in there, drum kits, guitar amps, all of that sort of thing. And then thoughtlessly, because there was a load of other stuff going on at the time, that would have been somewhere around the time when Dad had died and I'd had the accident, and there was all sorts of shit going on, and I probably wasn't thinking clearly. I was looking back, I was probably having a minor nervous breakdown, and gave the key to Maggie and just told her to take, and then I just had the place wiped, had somebody go round, take everything out, sell what could be sold. Well, they could do what they wanted with it, just clear it out basically. And the garage went back to the council, and I'm 99.9% certain that my whole family photograph history was in there. A filing cabinet drawer full of photo albums of my whole life up to the age of probably 18 was in there. And that would have been so wonderful for this to be able to put those into the videos, but that's not going to happen now. So I'm going to have to come up with some ideas of an intro for the videos. Have to have a think about that. Have to have a think, but it would be so much better if I had them, and I would be so much happier if I had them. I'm very upset about that. I've got nothing from my adult life because until smartphones came in and that sort of thing, I was never one really for taking photos. Not something I did. I was too busy living life to take bloody photographs of it. So there are vast swathes of my life that went unphotographed, unless somebody else was taking pictures, and that didn't happen often. Then there weren't many. I've got one album of pictures from my time in Ukraine, in Kiev, with Lena. Some of those are on Facebook. You might have seen them. I've got 1 or 2 albums from some time with Lisa when we were living between Cyprus and Devon, and a couple of other random photographs in another album, and that's about it. I've got no photos from my cycling days, my days as an athlete, apart from one photo of me at a trophy presentation, and it's only half a photo. It was from a friend's ex-wife who thought I might like it, and and it's half a photo because we both won awards at this annual presentation. I won the British Best All-Rounder trophy, which was kind of a big thing then. And what she'd done, she'd cut the photo in half, so she'd cut her ex out of it. So there's just half a photo with me holding this bloody great big trophy thing. But yeah, nothing else really until you get to recent times after smartphones and whatnot came in. So all of the most interesting bits of my life went unphotographed. Skick is here, and Skick says, I think it's a great thing you're having new thoughts about. Just wish you had more time to spend on YouTube. Doing a working 6-day week as well is the first problem, but I think over time we'll work it out. Well, you're absolutely right, Skick. It's a massive detractor, but as much as I'm willing to gamble on this, I'm willing to find the money to pay for the fuel and to pay for the hotel. I'm willing to put the time and effort in when it might not pay out because it might not pay off because the videos might just flop. I'm willing to change things about a bit and go to bed a bit earlier, get up a bit earlier, that sort of thing. I can't afford to drop a night at work. I just can't afford to do it. So the challenge is going to be, and there are some silly things that are going to cost money as well, right? I know that I need to improve the filming. When I make videos now, then I have Boaty cam on and it's just the view ahead and that's your lot, right? I'm not going to be able to get away with that from doing that. So I want to be doing 3-camera filming in the car. I want the Boaty cam in the normal position that you're all used to seeing. I want one set in the back looking diagonally so that you're getting me and the inside and the driving and whatnot. And then I want a third camera on the side window looking outwards, and that's just picking up the scenery. So I'm going to have 3 feeds of footage from same time, same place. And you know how I've been banging on about my iPad has got such a small memory space. I can't even edit and sort out a bloody lunch video without spending the whole day trying to free up space. Add in 2 or 3 cameras, I've got no chance. So the first thing I'm going to have to buy or upgrade is the iPad. Now the iPad was due to be upgraded in October. I'm going to have to do it early in order to get an iPad with, well, the one I'm looking at has got 256K as opposed to the 64 that this has got. More than enough to do everything. It's also a slightly bigger screen, which will make the editing easier. So that's one thing, and that's going to be money. Now, it's not going to be a huge amount of money because it's going to be a contract thing. So it's going to be an extra 17 quid a month. It's going to be an extra 17 quid a month until October. And then October, this one finishes. This one's costing 33 quid a month. So in October, I'll start saving money again. So that needs doing. I don't think I need a new phone. I think I can get away with filming on this one, and at a push, I can use my live stream phone. Now I could use this live stream phone in the side window. I can't record sound on this. That's why I'm using a microphone, because the microphone on this iPhone X is buggered, doesn't work properly. But I could just get scenic pics, pictures only, in other words, no sound. So that would be that. But I can't afford to drop a night at work, and pay for hotel and fuel as well. Now, the hope will be that the videos, first of all, the goal would be that the videos did well enough that the ad revenue from the videos paid for the hotel and the fuel. Now, I don't think that's likely. The hotel's going to be 50 or 60 quid, something like that. It's probably going to be the same again in fuel. So you're going to be looking at, if not a little bit more. And then you're going to be looking at a bit of food here and there. So you're going to be looking at 150 quid, probably. And that's 150 quid I've got to find. Don't know how. I'm probably going to have to sell a car to fund the first 4 or 5 trips, probably. And the chances of the videos earning 100 or 150 quid, probably pretty slim. It's not impossible. Videos can earn that amount of money and a lot more. It's just mine don't. I mean, I think my most profitable video earned 30 quid. So, you know, that's a long way off 150 quid, isn't it? But, you know, they're different kind of videos. If I did a proper video and as a first point, it earned the money to pay for doing the video, then that would be a brilliant thing. And then the next thing to aim for would be that it paid for the cost of doing it and a night's wages. And then I would be able to take Tuesday night off work as well, drop down to a 5-day working week, and I would be able to go away for a 2-night session. But I can't, honestly, if I had the money in the bank, then I'd gamble it. I would gamble it. I'd drop the night at work and I'd go out and I would bet on myself and I would do the 2-night things and see how it went. But I haven't got the money in the bank, so it's not a gamble that I can do. I would have to have the money coming in from the videos before I could do that. Video title: Boaty Goes Home, an unscripted series. Thanks, John. It's not going to be entirely unscripted. It's not going to be entirely unscripted. Boaty Goes Home, says Caddy Sparks. But Jimmy! Video title: The Forgotten David Brown, says Skick. Which David Brown are we talking about? The only David Brown with which I'm familiar is the Aston Martin David Brown, the tractor David Brown. And the reason why Aston Martins are called DB1, DB2, DB3, the DB stands for David Brown. If you didn't know, I presume that you did. Pingu says, 2 lovely local lads drive into each other's valleys, Welsh style in a soft top. That would need pinging down a bit, Pingu. I'll screenshot that then. I'll screenshot all of this because I'll put it all in the files and work through it all. I feel bad for you, Boaty, about the photos, says Barry. Yeah, me too. Nobody to blame but myself. I mean, it's heartbreaking in a way. Well, it's not heartbreaking in a way. It's heartbreaking, full stop. Heartbreaking, full stop. My grandparents were, well, my grandmother was an assiduous photographer. Everything got photographed. Everything got put in an album. Everything had written notes on it. And I'm heartbroken. There were pictures of my parents. All of their wedding pictures were in there. All of my baby pictures, all of my childhood. I can see them. I can see them in my mind. Pictures of my brother. Oh, it's heartbreak that I let them go, but hey ho. I don't know. Maybe it's not just me, maybe it's a thing, but it's kind of a recurrent theme through my life. I've been, in many ways, I've been itinerant. I've lived in different homes, in different countries, with different women. And every time I've had a home or a relationship, I've left something behind. And eventually you leave so much behind that you're left with nothing. And at the time, it doesn't matter. You're like a rolling stone and you gather no moss. And then you get to a certain age and you think, yeah, I wish I had all of that shit. I mean, there's even recent stuff that from my marriage and whatnot that I wish I still had. But hey ho, no point crying over spilt milk. It is what it is. And, you know, look forward, not back. At the end of the day, everything that was in those photographs, I'm the only survivor in my direct line of the family. And everything that was in every one of those photographs and every one of those albums, it's in here and it's in here. And that's probably all that matters. Do I need to share them with anybody else? Would they mean the same to anybody else? Probably not, in all honesty. So, you know, the thing is to put my personal slant on it, to move forward and to go forward whilst perhaps looking back. And again, that's what this Welsh thing is going to be all about. Oh, I like that. Somebody write that down for me, please. Please write this down in the comments so I can screenshot it. Moving forwards while looking back, or moving forward while looking back. That needs to go into the thing, into the script somewhere, or into the description. Moving forward while looking back. I like that. Mr. Stephen Paddy from Port Sunlight in the Whittle, the Leisure Peninsula, asks, what accident happened, if you don't mind asking all on here? Oh, most of them know about it. It was just, I was working for Sainsbury's. I'll do a very short version. I was working for Sainsbury's. It was Easter. Delivering groceries around the Peak District to all of the holiday lets. Beginning of the shift, had a fall, quite a bad one, on a customer's property on a broken patio. Rang into the store, said, I've had a fall, I've hurt my legs and I'm concussed, I can't drive. And they said, we haven't got anybody to get the van, to come and get the van back. You'll have to just do the best that you can do. So basically, yeah, they made me carry on working. And stupidly, looking back, I stood for it. Well, I didn't stand for it. I sat down and I crawled for it. The vans were automatics. So I was just about able to drive because my left leg was a lot worse than my right. I rang the customers. And there was also a silly thing that it was Saturday and it was Easter Sunday the next day. So the store was going to be closed. I'm delivering groceries to holiday lets. And I'm thinking, if I don't deliver this shopping, then they're not going to get any shopping. Every shop is going to be shut tomorrow, Easter Sunday, and they're going to have no food on their weekend break. So I rang the customers, explained the situation. They were all very kind. They came, I managed to get the van there, and they came and I literally crawled around the van and they got their own shopping out of the van, took it back, and I basically got through a 10-hour shift. I didn't go to hospital on the Saturday night because I didn't want to go to A&E on a Saturday night. I got back to work. They thought I was lying or exaggerating. They left the manager with strict instructions to look me over when I got back so that they could give me a bollocking for trying to swing the lead. I got the van back. The manager was waiting for me in the depot. And he just turned green and was almost sick and said, for fuck's sake, go to hospital now. Do you want me to take you? I didn't go to hospital that night. I had an automatic Jaguar S-Type as my daily car at the time. Managed to get myself home and got home, had some vodka, went to bed, basically. Didn't want to go to A&E because, I'd still been there on Sunday morning. And on Sunday, the following day, I had my first date with Boo that had been a long time in the making. And my first date in Boo was bowling in Nottingham at a UK singles community meetup. And somehow I showered, dressed. I remember having incredible difficulty getting trousers and shoes on. Somehow I did it. Drove to Nottingham in the Jaguar. Met Boo at Nottingham train station, and I remember literally crying because I had to park the car and go and meet her because she didn't know how to get to the car park. She wasn't a driver. And all I can remember about that is crying, just with the pain, as I walked from the car park, or tried to walk from the car park into the station. Got her, went to the bowling place. Sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous. Those who know me, knew me at the time. They know it's true. They know it's true. There's stuff on Facebook. Had the date, did the bowling, went home. That was a Sunday. And then on the Monday, bizarrely, I called my wife. We were divorced at that point, but we still had a friendly relationship. Well, more than a friendly relationship, to be honest. Some of you know that story as well. And explained the situation and asked if she could help. And she pulled a string or two and said, right, we'll go to the cottage hospital in the minor A&E, because my wife is a bigwig. My ex-wife is a very big wig in the NHS. And so she took me to Whitworth Hospital and got me straight in. I told them the story and they didn't really believe me. And Maggie said, he's probably telling it the truth. He is that stupid. And went for x-rays and so on. And of course, I'd broken my legs and my knee and my feet and all sorts. But because I'd been trying to walk on them, then I'd done a lot of soft tissue and nerve damage. So I really had done a lot of damage. Now, partly that was Sainsbury's fault for making me work a 10-hour shift on broken legs. Partly it was my fault for going bowling the next day, which I wouldn't have done if I'd finished my shift at 11 o'clock in the morning, gone to A&E then, when I wouldn't have had to wait as long as on a Saturday night. Had my x-rays then obviously I wouldn't have gone bowling the next day. But there you go, so that all happened. So that led to a long time off work, a long time. And again, cut a long story short, I was caring for my father. I used to go down once a week to my father's bungalow, and I would spend the day there on my day off. I would clean his bungalow. I would buy him a week's worth of food, or 2 weeks worth of food, to be on the safe side. I would do all of his cleaning. He had, I can't even go there, I'll cry. I made sure he had clean clothes, clean bedding. I made sure he had food, drink, everything, whatnot. And of course, I couldn't drive. And I couldn't get down there, and there was no other family. So basically, everything went to shit. I was off work for a long time. When I could theoretically go back to work, I couldn't because I hadn't healed. I got sacked for a spurious reason. My father died of starvation because I couldn't get down to buy food for him. He wasn't found for a long time. His body was so badly decomposed they couldn't identify him. He was not dead and not alive for about 6 months because they couldn't identify the body. He didn't have recent dental records, anything like that. Eventually, they did an ID through having established that I was the only living relative. They managed to get a little bit of viable tissue, and they did a DNA match between me and the viable tissue of him that remained. They never let me see what was left of him. Thank God. It apparently wasn't pretty, as I'm sure you can imagine, if you can imagine a body that's been left to decompose for however bloody long it was. So that thing happened with Dad. I had that to deal with. Then Sainsbury's sacked me, and then there was a lengthy court case, and I had no money and came very close to starving to death myself. Thank God I had friends who got me through, and it was just a pretty bad time, and one which I'm still trying to recover from emotionally and financially. Part of the reason why I'm as skint as I am is I'm still trying to pay off debts that I ran up during that period. Long answer to a short question. Oh, a slight misunderstanding. The live stream title, Two Boyos on the Line with Hiraeth. Ah, that makes more sense, Ben. Yeah, I like that. Same here, Boaty, says Jimmy Quinn. Mum had a fire and 95% of my photos gone. It is heartbreaking, but they're here and they're here. That's the way to do it. Well, at least you have the memories of your past, says Andrew. Boaty and Sean go under Milk Wood, says Caddy Sparks. Ah, yeah. A Dylan Thomas reference. I love Under Milk Wood. I can quote it word for word. And you see, there would be a video to make. Now, I love Dylan Thomas. I'm a proud Welshman. Of course, I love Dylan Thomas. But as a theoretical author myself, I have been published a long time ago now. But as a writer myself, then, I recognize Dylan Thomas of the wordsmith of his generation. And to me, that's simply not up for question. And it wouldn't matter if he was Welsh or Chinese, I would feel the same way. Now, I've been to Dylan Thomas's house in Larne. I've been to the boathouse where he did all of his writing. That would make a great video. I'm sure it's been done by lots of other people. It's not been done by me. And maybe some of you haven't seen the videos done by other people, and maybe you would see the ones done by me. That's an example of something that I could do down there in South Wales. David Brown was a Warrington man, says Skick. Died at the age of 45. He was the founder of Proton into Europe. Oh, well, there we are. Oh, thank you, Black Lines. Right, I've screenshotted it. Moving forward while looking back. Oh, and John's done it as well. Thank you. I like that. I do like that. Is it just me, or does anybody else think that works? Should be in there somewhere. Ben says, intro suggestion. You may have heard of or even sang Land of My Fathers. Join me in my beloved MG Rovers as I tour and explore Wales, the land of my fathers. I love that. Ben, I love that. This is going to work with you guys. This will work. Let's read that again. You may have heard or even sang Land of My Fathers. Join me in my beloved MG Rovers as I tour and explore Wales, the land of my fathers. Brilliant. I mean, that's something to work with, isn't it? You've got friends now, Boat says Skick, and I'm bloody grateful for them. I am bloody grateful for them. Jimmy Quinn says, I'm not reading that out, Jimmy Quinn, because it's not. Undermilk Wood is nothing short of genius. To begin at the beginning, it is spring, moonless night, Bible black in the dark, blah, blah, blah. The river runs one way, Boaty. Put the past in the past, look forward. Put your shoulders back and a spring in your step and have faith in you. Skick! Bloody well said, and I appreciate that. Skick, credit where it's due. You're responsible for a lot of this, and I'm very grateful. Not just the stuff that you put in the live stream or on the videos or in the comments, but for the stuff that you send personally and others as well. Don't think that it goes unnoticed. I wouldn't have the brass neck to even think about doing this if it wasn't for feedback from you lot. Because without you lot feeding back, then I'd just be a crappy YouTube channel that sticks silly videos up and gets 32 views, and that's that. Why would I think about doing something like this? Spending money on it, putting effort into it, because of you guys. That's why. So if it doesn't work, it's your fault. I'm so grateful for your input, and I love some of this. I'm going to go through those screenshots and I'm going to enjoy them. I have quite a few photos of myself and family from years back, says Black Lines. But whenever I look at them, I feel melancholy, so I don't really do it. Most of them are gone now. I understand that. Barry says, Black Lines same, I only look occasionally. Oh, John, bless you. That's very kind. Oh, Skick, thank you. Thank you for thinking that I've got what it takes. As I said in the Daily Diary, there's various ways to look at this. I want to do this for me. I want there to be some sort of legacy somewhere for somebody to look at, whoever it is, whether it's my stepkids, who I don't really have touch with. You know, they're all at a stage in their life where they're all busy doing things. I'm not a blood relative, but they were a massive part of my life. And there will come a point, maybe when they reach the kind of age where I am now, where they will look back with kinder eyes. Maybe they will understand how things work when divorces come about, and how the truth is very different to how things were represented or how some people presented them. And maybe they will look back with kinder eyes, and maybe they will remember everything that I did and how much I loved them and how much I cared and how much I tried to be the best person that I could for them. That's what I did as a step parent. I never tried to replace their parents. I always encouraged their relationship with their actual father, never tried to replace him. I tried to be a friend, and I tried to be the best father figure that I could. And that involved changing myself, quite honestly, becoming a different, better person, which I like to think that I did. And maybe they will look back, and I would like there to be some legacy so that anybody who gives a shit, whether it's them, whether it's you guys, whoever it is, I'd like there to be a little bit of me to be left to remember, because I've got no blood children. And as I say, when it comes to family, I'm kind of at the end of the line. The best that I can do is to put a dodgy YouTube channel up. And I would love there to be a bit on the YouTube channel that explained who I am, how I became, how I started, all of that kind of thing, you know. And also, let's be honest, I'd like to make a bit of money off YouTube. I'd love YouTube to become a full-time gig. And the competitive element in me thinks that I would love to just get numbers on my videos that equate to numbers other people get who I think that I should be able to do as well as. I completely recognize that all of the shit that I've put up so far doesn't deserve to do well, with a couple of exceptions. I think out of the 1,200 videos I've put up, I think 4 or 5 of them are actually okay. But yeah, so I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for you because you guys have made all the difference in the world to me after I was in, a pretty bad place. You've made life a much better place for me. Bless you. And I would just love to share that with you. And yeah, I would love the channel to do a bit better. I would love to be able to earn a living from it. Blah, blah, blah. I think the wine is kicking in now and I'm starting to talk absolute nonsense, aren't I? Oh dear. Oh, Mr. Stephen Paddy, that's very kind. Boaty road trip. One day I'll be a millionaire. He who dares wins. We all love watching you and your online friends. I'm 100% behind you in everything you do, Boaty says. John, I'm getting quite emotional now, mate. I'm getting a bit emotional myself. You have a good work ethic, Boaty. I do that. I kind of do that. And you've put in a lot of work, even when it was for nothing in terms of money. I think if you ramp things up a bit, you'll eventually see some decent return. That's the thing, isn't it? I want to have a go just to see if I can do it. Just to see if I can do it. And it's kind of scary because it could fall flat on its face. And I've tried. I don't care if this YouTube channel doesn't do much at the moment because it's done more than I ever dreamed it would do. It's created this, it's created you guys. It's given me you lot, mustard. It's just wonderful. And that's more than I could have ever hoped for. And probably more than I deserve from it, given the amount of effort I've put in. I've put time in, but maybe not effort. Because you can't call drinking wine and chatting with you lovely people effort. It's scary to try and put something a bit more proper together. But should it be scary? You know, does it matter if it flops? I don't know. What do you have? Asked Skik. Number 1, intelligence, allegedly. Number 2, past trauma that makes your character. That's an interesting one. That's interesting, Skik. Let's screenshot that. That needs to go. That needs to go into the Welsh thing somewhere. Past trauma that makes your character, because that's true, isn't it? It's probably the adversities that you face that make you the person that you end up being. And now there could be a tie-in there because thank you, Skik. This needs to go in there because I'm convinced that my Welsh heritage and the way that my family were, if you ignore the immediate generation above me, my father, ignore him in terms of this, but my grandfather and the other people around, coming from a mining village in South Wales, I'm convinced that I'm a product of that environment emotionally, in that no matter what the weather is, no matter how you feel, you get up, you go to work, no matter what. Now, you guys, you've known me for however long it is. When do I ever miss work? If I'm, whatever I've got, whatever bloody illness I've got or whatever, have I ever even thought about missing work? No. That's the Welshman in me. You get up and you go down the mine. And the other bits of the Welsh in me are poetry, wine, and song. You know I love words. You know I love drink. And that's a Welsh thing, to enjoy drink and to become excessively verbose, to let your mouth run away with you, whether it's with talk, poetry, song, whatever. And there are, well, I mean, again, you've only got to read or listen to Under Milk Wood to understand that element of Welshness, where a wife is laughing, telling the husband what he'd done the night before when he came home from work and got drunk because he couldn't remember, and they're both laughing about it together because that's the way it used to be in the valleys. You went and you did a decent day's work, and you made sure that home was what home needed to be. Your wife had what she needed. The kids had what they needed, and you had a drink and you had a laugh, and it was all in good spirits. That's what I remember. I remember very few fights or violence or anything of that nature. It tended not to happen. You took all of anything like that. You took all of that out on the rugby field. So of course, everybody played rugby. I mean, it was the law. I don't remember many, if any, scraps in the local pub. It wasn't the Welsh way. You had a good drink and you sang or you spoke or it was poetry. Very little in the way of, very, very different. And yeah, so going back to what Skick said, I think the adversity making what you are is very true. And I think it's true of me as an adult, in that I'm the person that I am now because of the traumas and whatnot that I've been through, in part, mostly actually. But I think that the person that I am innately was due to the adversities, the historical adversities of living in the Welsh Valleys. There's something to play with there in one of the scripts. Anyway. Boaty, you are a soppy old sod, says Jimmy Quinn, but I like you. I like you too, Jimmy. I would ditch the 3-camera idea, says Black Lines. Look at Sean. He has 50k subs just holding a camera and sticking it on a tripod. Too many cameras and editing will be a distraction, I think. But I kind of agree, Black Lines, but Sean's not doing it in a car. And it's slightly different in a car. 3 cameras might be overkill, but I definitely think you need 2. Only because when you're driving, you can't, it's a faff to try and stop and move stuff about if you're only using 1. But it definitely works. I mean, well, we've looked at Sean with his incredibly successful YouTube channel. So that's a fair comment. But let's look at some others where cars are involved. For the other stuff, I agree. 1 camera, not a problem at all. 1 camera, 1 tripod, 1, what do you call it? Sean uses 1. I've got 1, a really cheap Chinese one. Doesn't work very well. What do you call it? I can't remember. I know I've got 1. Somewhere. Here we are. I can't remember what it's called. It's one of these electronic things where it keeps the camera level and you can extend it like that. So you can walk along and film yourself. It's got a remote start-stop button thing on it, blah, blah, blah. Can't remember what you call it, but that would be all that you need. But in a car, I would argue you need slightly more. So look at JM and Cars, look at Harry's Garage, even Hubnut. Certainly Matt, Furious Driving. You need some separate views. Some stuff when you're talking to camera, it works better if the camera's looking at you, or at least you in the car doing the actual driving, some action shots. And some of the shots need to be of the road ahead. You need a bit of a mix in there, I think. Suffering makes the perfect person, Bible quote, say Skick. The content will speak for itself, says Black Lion. To be honest, a lot of people like the raw, unedited views. Well, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. You might be right, actually. Maybe it shouldn't be too polished, which is handy because with me, it's certainly not going to be. I mean, at the end of the day, however you dress it up, whatever I'm going to be filming, I'm going to be filming on 2 slightly out of date iPhones. So how polished can it actually be? I think if it wasn't for you in the community, I don't think I would be here now with all of my health issues, says John. And you're all genuine bunch of people. It means so much to me. And I second that. I feel exactly the same way, John. It's a wonderful thing. Remember the long trip to the funeral, says Skick, and then the long trip to do a work shift, and then the trip home to do a live. God, yeah, that was quite the day, wasn't it? That was my best friend's funeral. I drove down to Worcestershire for the funeral, paid my respects, did the wake, drove back to the restaurant, did a shift, and then came home and did a live. That was quite a day. Now you mention it. Oh, good point to read the cameras, etc., says Ben. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't try and overly complicate it. Probably because I would struggle with doing it, if nothing else. It does need to be personal because there's no way I'm going to be able to do it professionally enough that it could be a Harry's Garage road trip, or that it could be a really good travelogue or anything like that. It needs to be personal, and it just needs to have those elements in. I'm going to be staying in a cheap hotel. That needs to be in there. There's also going to be the surviving on a budget thing. That needs to be in there. So, ideas of how I can feed myself as cheaply as possible using the thing that Neil bought me, and so on and so on and so on. I've had a mad idea, given how, I need a decent cup of coffee in the morning, and given that hotel breakfast costs £10, then I know I blagged some free breakfasts at the Travelodge in Rill, but there's no guarantee I'll be able to do that. I can't rely on it, and there's no way I can afford to pay £10 for breakfast. So I had the daft idea. I was looking on Facebook Marketplace, right? I can go and buy a thingy, a Tassimo, for £5 or £10 off Marketplace. There's even one person offering one for free, or there was when I looked. And I had this crazy idea of taking an emergency bag into the hotel. What if I just took one of the smallest Tassimos with me and a couple of my coffee pods that I've got here anyway? Who needs a £10 hotel breakfast? If I took a little Tassimo and a couple of coffee pods and some brown sugar, that would be all that I needed. And just something, I don't know, half a tin of baked beans and sausages that I could warm up in my thing from Neil in my hotel room. Boom, there's my breakfast. Decent coffee, a bit of food to keep me going, £10 saved. Stuff like that. That might fit in well in the videos. And it's not manufactured, it's not made up. I'm genuinely going to be doing this, not just on a budget. I'm going to be doing it literally with money that I haven't got. And I don't know entirely how I'm going to do it yet. I've got no idea how I'm going to find the money to do it. You know, I'm hoping that the gas cost will have gone down a bit by then, but I don't know. If I had a bigger channel now, if I had a channel that did as well as Mustard's, for example, and got the numbers that Mustard does, then I'd go down a sponsorship route and I'd get in touch with whoever it was, Welsh Tourist Board, whoever, and say, right, this is what I'm going to do. How do you fancy sponsoring a video? I need 400 quid and I'll give you main sponsorship thing on episode 1, something like that. And that would make it all easy lemon squeezy. I remember in quite an early Hubnut video, when he was going elsewhere to film a load of stuff, he got in touch with the local tourist authority, and they gave him free accommodation for the night. So, but you know, I haven't got that level of clout yet. Maybe one day. Look at the time, darlings. I've kept you for far too long. Why has Boaty's travel show just popped into my mind? Further down the line, maybe? Yeah, why not? Furious Driving has so many cameras, he even has a channel devoted to him, says Ibis, buddy. Ben says, John, yes, I think all of us have greatly benefited from this thing we call Boaty's World, and Jason provided it a lasting legacy. Oh, bless you. Well, that's going to bring a tear to my eye, that is. Blackline says, well, up to Bedfordshire for me, tired tonight. Good live stream, Boaty. Good night, everyone. Yeah, say your good nights. It's well past time that I went. I've got an Istanbul curry in the fridge for my supper, and I've not told you anything about today. Oh, it'll be in the daily diary. Bit of a car disaster today. So basically, all of today has been about me and Mustard, or let's be honest, Mustard, trying to get Andy Pandy in a state where it would get me safely back home, because there were issues. We can talk about those tomorrow. It'll be in my daily diary a bit. It'll be in Mustard's video a bit. We were too busy doing to actually film. Oh, and Allegro Man is in the lunch video. Allegro Man has made it into the lunch video. The YouTube pendulum has swung away from ultra pro content, says Trace the Greenwood, who is with us, towards the personal, real life reality community, real self insights and chat. That's exactly what you do. Keep going with things you love. Okay. And evening all, I have been here lurking, hungover from daughter's birthday yesterday, says Trace. Skick says, are you going to do the night at the caravan with Mustard? I don't know, Skip. He mentioned it today, but he said that he's thinking about doing it alone. So maybe, maybe not. I do have plans with the yard as well, and they factor into all of the Welsh stuff. I haven't got time to tell you about it tonight. Mustard and I have spoken to it about length. Please don't think for a second that the Welsh thing is going to take away from my thing with Mustard. It is absolutely not. They are going to run concurrently. That's what I was talking about, some lifestyle changes. So if I'm in Wales every other week, Monday and Tuesday, then every other week I'll be at the yard as usual. But the days when I'm in Wales, I'm going to be up earlier the other days. So anything that we need to do at the yard, car collections, car deliveries, then I've got to be willing to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning if I need to, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and go and get them done. And in summer, I don't mind doing that. Because let's be honest, if we can sell the odd car or two, or start to sell a few more cars, then that's going to help me fund the YouTube thing. So I can't afford to ignore that. Also, says Trace, the word on the YouTube street is that you should produce less but better. Sean told me that. Sean, for those who, well, you won't know actually, but the other day, I can't remember what day it was, Saturday or Sunday, Sean actually rang me and we had a long chat. We had a 2-hour chat, and yeah, he said, you've got too much content. You've got too much content either. And I know that I have, but I haven't known where I wanted to go with the channel. So it's just throwing crap at the wall, basically. And I've thought that if I take it seriously, then at some point I will refine it. And that will happen. The daily diaries will become short, snappy. The daily diaries will continue. I like them. But they're going to be short, snappy. The daily diaries have become too big because there's nothing else happened over winter. The weather's shit. I've not left the cottage. Haven't had any money to do anything. Moving forward, the daily diaries will be short, snappy, 2-3 minutes bit of insight. Something that's not in a video, a bit about the day, whatnot. And then, yeah, the idea is to do less but better. Obviously, the Welsh series, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, the word on the YouTube street is quite right. Trace, did you know you can now call Boaty live on air? And Trace says, yes, but too tired tonight for those shenanigans. Maybe for tomorrow's live then, says Ivor. Wait until the weather improves to spend a night in the caravan. I think Mustard is minded to do it on his own, as a challenge on his own, so that he can make his own video and his own story on it. And he thinks it might be a bit of if he does it right, he thinks it could be a bit of a breakthrough vid. Have a great night, John, says Ivor. Don't remove anything, says Trace, but daily diaries need to be 5 minutes or 3 times a week at 10 to 15 minutes. No, 5 minutes maximum, I agree with. Jimmy Quinn says, Boaty, Aldi, you've got 7 or 8 pound wine for £4. Oh, I know, but I wasn't anywhere near one. Anyway, darlings, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for your company. Massive thanks to Sean, who will probably be asleep for now, for ringing in. Thanks to all of you guys for sharing your time with me. Massive thanks for your input on the Welsh thing. I've got all the screenshots. And they're going to be factored into the mix, and I'm going to ask you for much, much more going forward. But I've loved tonight, and that's it. Let's all go to bed. Have a safe and peaceful night, darlings. Please join me tomorrow, a little bit later, 11 o'clock, Tuesday Night Live. Call in if you fancy it. Same deal. You know how it all works now. I'll stick the number up again tomorrow night. And there we are. Have a safe and peaceful night. Take great care of yourself. Have the best day you can tomorrow. And hopefully I will see you all tomorrow night, 11 o'clock. And just thank you all so much again. Take great care of yourselves. Much love from me. And good night. See you tomorrow. But you, and indeed, oh yes, a very Welsh bosh.